Welcome to the Deep Dive. We take complex stuff, ancient texts, modern science, channeled material, and, well, we try to make sense of it for you.
And today's sources, wow, they really pulled together some disparate threads. We're talking esoteric wisdom, Sumerian records, Thoth, even quantum ideas.
Yeah, it's a mix designed to challenge some core assumptions,
Yeah.
right? About history, where we came from, maybe where we're going.
Exactly. The claim is our whole historical narrative might be, well, wrong, fundamentally misreported.
So our mission today, cut through the noise. What are the big provocative ideas here? First, this idea that maybe we're not evolving, but actually devolving.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's this cosmic conflict, like a hidden Game of Thrones with two sides claiming the same title. Sovereign Lord. We need to get into that.
Definitely. But to grasp the conflict, we first have to tackle that historical view. The sources really go after how we see ourselves right now.
Okay, let's start there. The evolution thing. They basically call out Darwin's 1859 theory, saying it's unproven.
Well, yeah. The argument is that believing we evolved from monkeys is comforting. It lets us think we're always getting better, always progressing.
Right. So we don't notice the problems around us.
Precisely. We get complacent. We think, oh, technology will fix it because we assume we're like the peak of creation so far. We overlook the actual decline.
That's quite a counter-narrative.
Similar.
So instead of evolving up, they're asking, what if we're actually devolving down? From what, though? Intelligent light beings.
That's the idea presented, yes. And they argue the decline isn't subtle. They point to actual measurable things, markers that show we're heading the wrong way.
Like what? What kind of markers?
Things like shrinking freedoms, more and more viruses cropping up, massive environmental damage. I mean, the figures they cite are pretty stark.
That is.
Losing forest land the size of the UK every year. And animal populations, mammals, birds, fish, amphibians, down by something like 60% in just over 40 years. That's huge.
Wow, okay. And they connect this to our general awareness, too.
They do. They mentioned the doomsday clock. Remember, it moved to 100 seconds to midnight back in January 2020.
Yeah, before the pandemic really hit globally.
Exactly. Their point is we were already on the brink, showing clear signs of this downward path, this self-destruction trend.
So if history's trajectory is wrong, if it's devolution, how do we fix it? What's the remedy according to these sources?
It's interesting. It's not about some new tech or political system. It's simpler, more fundamental. It's about energy, changing our ways now, adopting energies of love, peace, abundance.
Changing our internal state to change the external path.
Yeah.
But what kind of system are we even in? If we need to change our energy, what structure are we operating within?
Right. This is where they introduce the idea of the universe, or at least our part of it, as an energetically closed system.
A closed system governed by...
Governed, they say, by the archangel Metatron. And it's symbolized geometrically by Metatron's cube.
Metatron's cube. Okay, for people not familiar with sacred geometry, is that like a literal structure, or is it more symbolic? A blueprint?
It's the blueprint, the geometric framework. It creates what they call the magnetic grid, or you could think of it as a holographic matrix.
A matrix.
Okay.
So like a simulation.
Essentially, yes, a kind of cosmic closed loop. This geometry, they claim, locks humanity into repeating cycles. Time and karma going round and round.
So we're stuck in a loop. That explains why they stress time isn't linear, right?
Yeah.
That everything happens at once.
Exactly. Our physical reality is described as a kind of 3D virtual reality computer world built from collective memory.
And our bodies.
Just the avatar, the vehicle you use to play the game, so to speak.
Okay, and the biggest limitation in this game, this avatar system.
Gravity. But here's the twist. They don't see gravity as like a force pulling things together.
No, then what is it?
Density.
Gravity is density. Whoa, that flips physics on its head. How does that work? What's the implication of moving between densities?
Well, they say greater density leads directly to more disorder, more limitation, and crucially, more pain. It sort of weighs down the soul. So, light beings, beings on higher dimensions, they experience less gravity because they have less density, fewer restrictions, and their natural state is one of greater love.
So ascension is literally becoming lighter, less dense.
That's the idea. You reduce your spiritual density through your vibration. Fear, anger, that stuff makes you heavy, dense. Love, forgiveness, that makes you light.
Okay, this density, this restriction, it leads us right into the core conflict, doesn't it? The duality controlling the system. We're shifting from geometry to theology now.
Yes. This is where the sources identify two very different personalities, both claiming the same title, Sovereign Lord.
Two of them. operating under the same name.
That's the claim. One side is the sovereign Lord associated with figures like Jesus and Moses. This is the force defined by love, forgiveness. Turn the other cheek. This is called the divine word or the channel.
Okay, the path of light and love.
Yeah.
And the other one.
The other is identified as Lord Yahweh, the Old Testament Lord YHWH. And his name, they point out, is short for Yahweh Sabaoth.
Which means?
He who musters armies. Quite a different vibe.
Yeah, definitely. Warlike, judgmental.
Extremely, according to these texts. They use biblical quotes to illustrate it, like Yahweh saying in Ezekiel, "Neither shall my eyes spare, and I also will have no pity."
Wow. That is fundamentally different from unconditional love. The implication here is huge. If this is right, our whole spiritual history could be based on a massive mix-up. Or worse.
Or a deliberate substitution, yes. The sources argue this conflict played out right there in Scripture. They claim Jesus, for instance, consciously avoided using Yahweh's name when he read from the text.
Avoided the name. Okay. And then comes the really controversial part involving St. Paul.
Right. The sources claim that Saul of Tarsus, who became St. Paul, actively replaced Jesus' original message, pure love, forgiveness, the kingdom within, with Yahweh's teachings.
Replace them. How?
By focusing on judgment, the need for human sacrifice, essentially shifting the focus from internal connection to God to external religious structures and control.
That's a massive claim. St. Paul basically overwrote Jesus' core message for Yahweh's agenda. Yeah. That's theological warfare, like you said. Is the evidence convincing?
Well, the argument hinges on that shift in emphasis. You look at Jesus talking about the kingdom within you, and then Paul's focus on establishing the church, doctrines, the need for redemption through sacrifice. The texts frame this as a deliberate takeover strategy by the darker force.
To control humanity's spiritual path.
Right.
And this fight isn't just theological, it goes way back. Ancient civilizations.
No, exactly. It connects back to legends of Lemuria or Mu and Atlantis. These are described as higher dimensional places that fell into darkness and density.
And this ties into Sumerian and Egyptian stories, too.
Yes, the god Ea, or Thoth, who's linked to creating Earth in some myths and maybe even genetically engineering early humans. It's all part of this ancient cosmic history.
So if these high-tech, high-vibration places fell, where did the light, this divine word path, retreat to? This is where Britain comes in, isn't it?
It is. Britain is presented as a really key location. A major nexus point where the light path tried to hold its ground or even push back.
And the Druids were central to this.
Absolutely. The sources talk about the ancient Druids being fearless of death. Why? Because they believed the soul was immortal and in one single, invisible, benevolent creator. A very different view from the Roman pantheon, for instance.
Didn't Julius Caesar write about them? Admiringly, even?
He did. Noted that people actually traveled to Britain to study the Druid ways. It suggests Britain was a recognized spiritual center back then.
Which leads us to the British portal theory.
Right. This is the idea that Jesus actually survived the crucifixion.
Survived it. Okay, that's another huge claim.
Yes, and that he then traveled with Joseph of Arimathea to Britain.
Joseph of Arimathea, wasn't he supposedly Jesus' guardian? Wealthy?
A wealthy tin trader, according to these sources, which would make the journey and setting up in Britain quite feasible logistically.
So Britain wasn't just a refuge. It was like a base of operations for the light. That's how it's framed. And specific sites are crucial here. Stonehenge, Glastonbury Tor. These are highlighted as major Earth energy centers, chakras, or even dimensional portals.
Portals. Used by who?
The claim is the Druids and later Jesus' party used these sites for coordinated light work, trying to anchor higher frequencies, raise the planet's vibration, counter that devolutionary pull.
And the conflict, the spiritual battle, is actually marked on the land itself, especially around Glastonbury.
Seems so. There's that detail about the spring near Glastonbury Tor at Chalice-well. Later Anglo-Saxon records called it the Blood Spring.
The Blood Spring, why?
The sources suggest this name reflects the conflict, that followers of the Yahweh path intentionally desecrated the site, trying to corrupt these light grids with energies of fear, density, death, marking their territory almost.
Wow, okay, so pulling all this together, devolution, the Matrix, this ancient battle between two lords, what's the bottom line? The main takeaway for someone listening? I think it boils down to this, that big battle between light and dark. It's not really out there in the heavens or in history books. It's happening inside you right now.
You are the battleground.
You are the nexus point, yeah, where this cosmic duality plays out.
So the way forward, the path to ascension they talk about, it isn't about fighting the darkness. Or judging people on the wrong side.
No, quite the opposite. It's achieved through, well, radical forgiveness, growing unconditional love, becoming that light being again by raising your own vibration.
And our collective choice matters.
Critically, the sources really emphasize that humanity's collective choice now between love and harmony or fear and anger. That's what decides the future, continued devolution or a turn towards ascension.
Is there any hope offered? Any signposts in this narrative?
There is. They reference a Pleiadian prophecy apparently given to Jesus himself. It basically said the full truth wouldn't or couldn't really break through until much later, until the time of space-traveling machines. Centuries, 2 millennia after his mission. That's the time, the prophecy suggested, when the celestial sons might start revealing themselves again to help humanity ascend.
So, maybe now. That leaves us with a really profound question to think about, doesn't it? Well, the ancient texts apparently say that the kingdom is within them and outside of them. So if you're seeking that divine truth, that path back to light, where should you focus first? Searching the skies and ancient histories or looking deep inside your own heart?